Dimp Digital presents Idle Game Chat.
Cool.
Hello, apps here from Dimp Digital. Welcome to Idle Game Chat. This is Dimp Digital's flagship video game podcast where we take you through the ups and downs of the wonderful world of video games. We are here on your favourite podcast app and YouTube, absolutely free. However, if you want to support this grassroots independent endeavour, head over to patreon.com/Dimp Digital or twitch.tv/Dimp Digital and join the community. Hashtag hand in pocket. This time, I'm once again joined by the disgraced and dishonest Dimp Digital gaming quiz charlatan. It is Lashit. It's Tom Adkins, not Adcock. How's it going?
Oh, I'm not too bad, actually. How are you doing?
Better than last week because the heat it's still hot.
Yeah.
It's still too hot, but it's not ridiculously hot.
Dissipated, hasn't it?
Had a little bit of rain as well, which I don't mind now and again. Just to wash away the dog's piss, actually, because that that AstroTurf, if you don't keep on top of it, it can kick up a little bit. So have to make sure that's clean. But the rain will naturally do that. So
Yeah.
saves a bit of a job, although it does need a bit of a good flush through, as I would call it. But no, other than that, all good my side. We're here to do a little bit of news, a little bit of a roundup. Again, it's still slow, which is fine. We're not doing a 3-hour pod. I feel sorry for all those fuckers that
They're talking about.
set their stall out and said, look, we're here for 3 hours each week. I think, well, good luck.
Yeah.
The manufacturers. But we've got a little bit of housekeeping because next week, you know, if you're on Patreon, you'll probably usually get it Friday, but everyone else gets it on the Monday. There will be no Idle Game Chat.
We're sick of it.
We quit. We finally quit. No, it's bank holiday here in the United Kingdom, so we'll be taking that week off, putting our feet up, stretching our legs. Might go outside. Who knows? Might venture off outside. So a week off from podcasting. Gamescom opening night live, however, is on the 23rd of August. I think we're going to try and do a watch-along partay for that.
Time's it on?
I think it's 7 p.m, which is a bit of a howler for you. It's sort of an hour too soon.
Yeah, I'll make an exception.
It can make an exception. So that's the plan. We'll be heading over and doing that. So twitch.tv/Dimp Digital, as I said in the opening. Follow the channel there and you'll get a nice notification. You can also tune into this part of the show live as well. So you can interact and throw us off our game. I'm quite good at not reading the chat, but you get distracted.
I get snarled up,
and start having conversations with people that are just trying to wind you up. So yeah, no podcast next week, but twitch.tv/Dimp Digital hopefully for a Gamescom opening like live watch along party, and the archive of that will be put up on the YouTube channel. Again, youtube.com/Dimp Digital can find you that. Fantasy Gaming League. We have another game that has landed in someone's Grand Prix team. It's Hall again, so he's starting just to fill in the last few games in his list, in his roster. This time it's Madden 23. And it's only got about 5 or 6 reviews as we record this, and it's sitting on a 75. Could go either way. The highest score I've seen for it has been an 8 out of 10. So if that's the ceiling, you're going to get lower stuff that's chipping away at that. So the glory day of getting an 80 may well be gone for that. You kind of need your 9s and 10s to be kicking about early on.
He died this year, didn't he?
Oh, Madden! It was in between the last game and this game, but yeah.
Oh, was it? Cool. The last one on the cover shucked him on the cover, and they've given it an 8.
Well,
nice.
I assume they're going to continue using the name. It's such a strange arrangement when you think about it, because obviously we've got FIFA, which is a good comparison. We've got MLB The Show, we've got NBA yearly sports games, but NFL is named after John Madden. It has been since I can bloody remember.
Cool.
It's really odd how it's
It'd be weird, a bit like the equivalent of us playing. We're going to play a game of David Beckham. Fancy it?
Yeah.
David Beckham 22.
Yeah, exactly. It's strange, but it's a brand now. It is a brand, so yeah. So since unfortunately old Madden passed, that's the first one out, and it's got a 75, which is I'm going to just quickly dive into last year's one because I've got a feeling they've been up and down all over the place. I've seen them in the 60s. I've seen them struggling in years gone by. 64 last year. So I mean, it's not
PS2. PS2 might have been the last Madden I actually played.
I can't believe you've played one.
I know. Yeah, I was thinking it was round Yellow Boots. I think he had it. I think Greg was a fan. And I think I had one go on it and I haven't played one since.
No, it probably goes for a lot of people that don't follow the sport. It's one of those things. But yeah, at the moment it's on a 75. Probably will change, go up and down, because like I said, there's only been a handful of reviews out on that. But Mr. Hall now has remaining Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp, which Putin put a stop to earlier in the year, so could be a blower there. Slime Rancher 2 still to come. That was announced that it's going to go into early access in September for at least 18 months.
Cool.
Doesn't mean it won't score on OpenCritic, but does reduce the chance of that happening. And then he's got Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So he's only got 3 games left, but transfers may have to be called in for 2 of those as we speak. But that's still rumbling along, and we get ever closer to the final transfer window, which opens September the 1st. Now, moving into some traditional news. Number 1, tomorrow is in your hands. Death Stranding is going to be available on PC Game Pass on August the 23rd. So this was the Kojima Productions game. His first game since splitting with Konami. Sony picked up the publishing duties and partnership for the console release, but they did not take up the option to handle the PC stuff. 505 Games did that. And perhaps that oversight now has led to a game which I'm led to believe they own the IP for Death Stranding. Yet they don't own the publishing rights on PC. There must be written statements and bits in there that says that 505 can almost do what they want with it. And the upshot of that is Death Stranding arrives on PC Game Pass on the 23rd of August.
Oh, Jim gets his man.
Well, it's...
Not Jim.
Philip.
Phil
Imagine if this was the secret game that they were cooking up. I mean, this is the partnership.
That would be hilarious.
It won't be. It'll be a separate game. It's been interesting watching this develop because the PC Game Pass Twitter account were like teasing it. At first they changed their profile picture just saying, and it said something along the lines of, we like open landscapes, and it was just like, it looked, I would never have guessed it, to be honest, but the sleuthers out there was like, that looks like Death Stranding. Someone then found the exact rock that it was. I was like, how do these people find this stuff? And then over time they added rain, and I think they started adding the BT phantoms in there as well, and it all became obvious that something was cooking. And it's been interesting seeing Greenbloods chirping up. Some of the same people that sat there and were laughing at Death Stranding when it came out in 2019. Amazon Delivery Driver Simulator, it was called. What a load of old toss. And now, because it's coming to PC Game Pass, there's champagne bottles being popped.
Yeah.
They're
unbelievable.
Could be a fickle bunch, these fanboys. And then you've got the Blue Bloods crying. Yeah. Oh, I didn't like it anyway. Now they've gone the other way. No, I didn't like that anyway. Gave it a 10 out of 10, mate. Wow.
Yeah. And this would be currently running on both platforms, won't it? Because they've got it as part of the is it extra or the premium? I think it's part of the
it will. Yeah, I think it's in the extra tier of PS Plus. So you're right. Yes.
Yeah, a dual subscription game.
Yes, they do exist.
What will you play it on?
Well,
I would like to test it on the old PC just to see.
I've heard good things. They've done a good job with the port. It's got the widescreen support and other bits and pieces. I think DLSS has been dropped into it as well. And yeah, it's been on Steam for a year, maybe a bit longer actually. I feel like it was a bit longer.
Yeah.
It came out. This is the thing it all toils back to. Jim's left their cock in hand now because this is a bit of an optical win for Phil, isn't it? Like it's not on. It's not on Game Pass. It's not on Xbox Game Pass, I should state. So it's not on that console, and don't expect it to go there because Sony retain the power there. But why there's a bit of Jim cock left in hand is because it looks a bit silly that something that Sony own is sitting on this Game Pass system, whether it's PC or otherwise, and I just can't understand why they didn't publish this themselves and allowed 505 Games to do this and run amok with it, because they've literally that same year is when they put Horizon Forbidden at Zero Dawn out for PC. So that's when the PC strategy was starting, and obviously to do that they would have been probably a year before. They thought, right, let's start kicking this into gear. For whatever reason, they decided they're not going to bother with Death Stranding, didn't want it on their plate. You know, they didn't have Nix's then at that time, so they didn't have that porting studio that's done the Spider-Man port. So I understand why, but it's just another one of these little bloody noses that Jim's going to have to sit there and take. The big one, the worst one of the lot is MLB The Show. So San Diego developed that, and that goes day one onto all Game Pass platforms, whilst Jim sits there and goes 70 UK pounds, please. No wonder it's not on the European fucking charts with that sort of price tag being
behaviour.
No, but what do you make of this then? Little bit of a coincidence and irony that this is now popping up. Yeah, definitely. Obviously, with this partnership, I'm intrigued. It's good. I'll be interested to see if it happens to any of the others, the likes of Horizon. Maybe we haven't got a port for Tsushima yet, is there? But maybe a Spider-Man down the line. And is this going to be an avenue? You know, PlayStation keeping the console side of things very much in their court, but as they know, that PC version is a lesser. What's it called? Throwing them a bone. Not quite as intense, is it? The rivalry there.
No.
So you think that actually, if the opportunity presents itself, Sony themselves might say, we'll chuck it on game. If you come give us a bundle of cash, right, that's a nice check, we'll do it. Or do you think this is because they don't have a choice in this? 505 Games have gone, well, we're going to do it. Or are you thinking, maybe they could do it? Yeah. I don't know. Would 505 have the power, do you think? Or would Sony have the final say and be like, well... This is the thing, we're only left to speculate. Now, as far as I understand, the trademark is registered in Sony's name for Death Stranding. Right. I've got this website, trademarks.justia, oh, fuck knows. And yeah, it's registered in their name. And I've heard other, Colin Moore, he's talked about how he also believes it's owned by them. But it might maybe when the agreement was, they said 505 Games that we want hands washed to this. Yeah. Or maybe, it could have been a number of things. Kojima could have gone, we want this on PC. Sony went, yeah, all right, we're not, do what you want with it. That side, we obviously we don't want to put on Xbox because we've helped fund this and own this, that, and the other. And maybe they allowed them just to go off and create this, and it turns out that whatever contract was stipulated that they could do this, and Jim went, "Oh, fucking hell!" when he found out. Yeah, potential. It'd be interesting to see how long as well. I noticed that a lot of the heavy hitter games, the big ones, don't tend to stay on very long. Red Dead Redemption 2, that was only about 6 months, I think. Yes. You do see these ones come and go, so it'd be interesting to see what it is. Is this field testing the waters, or Jim even testing the waters and going, we'll see what happens? Or has something fallen through the cracks and Jim's not seen it and gone, fucking hell, who put that on there? Yeah, someone's going to get bollocked for that. Yeah, I lean towards thinking it's an oversight and Sony are like, fuck's sake. Well, I don't know, I would love to see, it'd be great to see Spider-Man and God of War and Horizon and whatever else they port on PC Game Pass. Why not? The hard work's been done. Has it? The Uncharted, that was delayed on PC, wasn't it? Yeah, that's actually not out just yet, but that's coming. And then we're expecting there's going to be a Last of Us Part 1 PC version shortly after the console release on PS5, so Sony are clearly... Yeah, that seems weird, because
I think you might be right because they haven't. You think they'd throw up lesser games on, like a sort of Detroit or something. Chuck that out.
Helldivers.
Let them have that. Helldivers. Get that out there. We don't care about that one.
Yeah.
That's a Sony jobby, but yeah. So no, this could be
What's interesting now, like if you go to PlayStation's website, they've actually got a PlayStation games for PC site, like a little mini, not its own site, like a few pages.
Thread.
Yeah, and it's got all the games in there listed out of a little synopsis. Days Gone, that's another one.
Oh, cool.
But it mentions it's got things like Predator Hunting Grounds and like a reason I mentioned Helldivers, like the lesser games in there. But they're clearly, at least putting. Because why would you bother making a page just for PC games? They're clearly
it does seem
going to be picking up the pace, I think, with these.
Yeah, certainly do.
Which is only a good thing.
More. Yeah, it's brilliant. The ports seem to be getting better. And yeah, it's only a matter of time, just to be able to see people playing it. So there's some way someone managed to play Spider-Man through an Xbox somehow. I can't remember. They must have been like cloud streaming it, or imported it into the thing.
Because I think on Xbox you can open up a browser, and then from the browser you can then stream your Steam games in there. I think it was Tom Warren from.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it did it.
Oh, yeah. I think I followed it.
But Sony, I don't think PlayStation has a browser in it, so you can't get to Game Pass to stream
Got
Halo
that loophole
or something.
down.
Yeah, maybe they do. Jim was like, to be honest, it's it'd be great to see the walls come down. I don't think they will, but a small win is that
only a small win. Yeah,
is Sony pushing out these PC games, and then 505 games. Maybe they went rogue and went, don't care about you two v each other. We're going to chuck it on there, take a little bit of cash, and Kojima went happy days. More people giving them likes. Get this social game up and running.
Get it back up in.
How do you reckon it works when there's no one playing the game?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you won't get any of that. You'll be fucking hard, wouldn't you? When you're stuck up them mountains, you've got no ladders knocking about.
My assumption is it'll put you in a server that's populated.
Right.
So it's like maybe our stuff's still there from 2 years ago. That stays. But you won't get new likes unless the blower is.
What's the point of it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. But no, if you've got access to PC Game Pass, there's now literally no harm in giving it a go, because it's one of those games that I really loved, but I don't know who I could recommend it to. Hand on heart.
Not a Biff game.
It's not a Biff game. I haven't even tried it. Maybe you should.
No, you should have done. Yeah.
I'll try and coax him into that. Number 2, Embracer Group has acquired yet more companies.
Oh.
I mean, this is I don't know. Well, they are spending big money.
I didn't see any number on this deal. Is that?
So the only one I could find was that they did state that the entire the deal is worth sort of $576 million, but that's for everything they've just done in this little part. So this is, and I didn't see any numbers. I looked at the limited run games page, and they said for commercial reasons we're not revealing that, but GamesIndustry.biz has all these pegged at like an overall price, but doesn't kind of do the individual stuff. So Embracer have got limited run games, which are kind of like
I don't know how they do that. They do some brilliant stuff. I follow it all the time. I almost bought Scott Pilgrim. They've done a physical copy for that.
They do physical copies of like games cultish type. Got a cult following and do special editions
as well. Yeah, like that. Like Scott Pilgrim, it's been out for a long while. Yeah. But then they re-released it on Switch, and they were like, "Oh fuck it, we're going to do a thing." I don't know how they get the rights to that. It's brilliant though.
So they've got limited run games. Then they've got this other firm called Singtrix, which is a vocal processing tech, apparently. Then you've got Tuxedo Labs, who did Teardown, and then Tripwire Interactive, who did Killing Floor. Did they do Maneater as well?
I recognise that name
in my head. But the big one, really, is that Embracer is going to, providing this all goes through, of course, this is still up in the air, buy Middle Earth Enterprises, which basically gives them the rights to Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and any of J.R.R. Tolkien's versions of that, any literary bits and pieces. So now they own the motion pictures rights, they own the video game rights, board games, merchandising, theme parks, stage productions relating to Tolkien's work. So that's...
See, this sounds like this should be billions.
Well, yeah, exactly. And again, they did not disclose the total sum, but GamesIndustry.biz claims
That is
that
about
for all of
half a
this, it
bill.
was just over $500,000 is what they're.
That is incredible if they've snapped that up.
There's also
Especially on the back
one
of this-
unannounced acquisition,
Ooh.
so they've got another one coming.
Oh.
It's Sony. Yeah, I mean, so from the video game perspective, we've got limited run games in there. Fine, got the two studios, Tuxedo Labs and Tripwire Interactive. I mean, the big pop culture one is obviously the Lord of the Rings stuff, and part of that will be video games to come. But Embracer are not afraid
So I wonder
to splash the cash.
No, seemingly not. So I assume the deals that they distribute out, like the Shadow of Mordor rights. Do they get that? They get that. They get the fucking.
They get to
Gollum,
decide. Yeah, if
Gollum
they'll inherit Gollum and it's, I guess, any new projects they'll green light and they'll be able to either put it into one of their many development studios. Tripwire might say, "Oh, we'll make one." They're like, "No, not you." Crystal Dynamics, you make. Eidos Montreal.
Yeah.
Go there, but they could even just loan it out and say, whoever, if someone's got a pitch, will go in as a partnership. But
Because that series has just dropped as well, isn't it? The Amazon series. So
it's out now.
Is it motion picture? I think the first episode dropped this weekend. I think it's on Sky though, on that fucking Atlantic. I think
it's not on Amazon Prime.
I don't. Oh, it is Prime, isn't it?
I thought.
Hang on.
Come on.
I should know this.
Rings of Power, innit?
Rings of your power. Yeah, it
This
was,
ain't-
wasn't it? What did I saw? Oh, sorry, I'm thinking the wrong fucking thing, and I'm thinking of
Harry Potter.
Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah.
That dropped. Sorry, that's Atlantic.
Yes.
Although I
1st of
thought I did-
September.
1st September. Oh, that's it. Sorry, I'm getting confused with that fucking Thrones. That dropped this weekend. And that's on Atlantic. So there's your advertisement for that.
Yeah.
We'll come back to the thing in September.
Yes.
But yes, certainly if this isn't acquiring the TV rights as well.
I would assume so. Yeah, I guess it's everything.
Yeah, fuck my old boots. That is a steal if that is. I'm sure it'll get revealed later on down the line. But, it's not Star Wars, but that's a fucking big franchise.
No. Embracer, very, very busy at the moment. It'll be interesting to see what that means for the gaming side of things for Lord of the Rings going forward. Because, let's be honest,
Shadow of Mordor
Gollum ain't
3.
in it. What? I wouldn't mind a good Shadow of Mordor game.
Keep that Nemesis system.
Yeah.
Stop that level gating and all that fucking. Cool. What was that bit at the end where you had to fucking
Shadow of
drag...
War, it was called.
Yeah, Shadow of War. You had to drag it out to get the end credits.
Yeah, we had to invade like 30 casts. Like,
fucking hell.
They did change it. This is the annoying thing. About a year later, they patched it and completely compressed that last act. And I was like, why?
You bastards.
Yeah, well, maybe they won't get their hands on it again because Monolith may well be booted out and Embrace will have someone else lined up to do some games. Number 3, games going gold, Triple G. So these are just games that are being confirmed as going gold, which typically means they're going to hit their release dates. It means that they can print a version of the game to a disc and, at minimum, ship that potentially. Although a lot of the games wouldn't be in the best state if you took that disc and didn't update it as soon as you got it. That's A Plague Tale Requiem, which is coming to Game Pass day one, and is the sequel to A Plague Tale Innocence. That'll be the 18th of October. And then you'll pre-order Gotham Knights, 25th of October. So no more... Well, I say no more delays because Cyberpunk did delay by 20-odd days once they went gold. But typically, 9 times out of 10, we don't get any more delays.
Yeah.
You still holding firm with Gotham Knights?
I am, although... That's...
Couple of months away.
It looked better technically. I did have technical problems from the first trailer.
Yeah.
And then the second one, it did seem to be smoothed out, although it looked a little less, a bit blurrier. So we'll see how it is. But yeah, glad that it's coming. Because to be fair, I want a game now. I haven't really picked anything up after playing that Power Washer. I need something to sink my teeth in, and that's first in line. I suppose Saints Row's first, but I'm very dubious of that. So
scared.
We'll see. But scared. But I am ready for a game now, to be honest. I've just recently been getting back into Tekken of all things, so
because of our chat last week.
Yeah, yeah. I've played through the campaign again. There's a Netflix anime that's just dropped, so that's my new venture back into the gaming world because it has been taken away from thing. It's been a slow old couple of months, so here we go.
Ready to jump back in, and it shouldn't be any more delays. I'm
All good.
excited for Plague Tale Requiem. I can't see why I wouldn't just jump straight into that and play it because I'm geared up. I'm ready to go. I thought the first one was a little bit overrated. I heard some really positive things, and then I bought it cheap. It was like 20 quid by the time I bought it, and I was like, oh yeah, that was good for 20 quid. And I checked the RRP, and it was supposed to be sold at full price. And I was like, cool. I don't know if I'd have felt quite so easy with that. And the same's happening with this one. I think it's 50 UK pounds, so a slight discount. But the Game Pass factor means that's not really a problem for myself and those that are on it. And they did a gameplay overview this past week, a bit of narration, 5 minutes long, and that looked better than what I'd seen 6 to 8 weeks ago. So I'm back on board of it, and there's no excuse not to dive into that. As Pixie, as you said, the game schedule releases being a bit sparse, but still a couple of months away from that, so still plenty of time and space to fill. Number 3, Disney and Marvel Game Showcase will take place September the 9th. Here's the little synopsis that they posted. The digital showcase will feature incredible new content from Disney and Pixar games, Marvel games, Lucasfilm games, and 20th Century games. In addition to all new announcements, fans can expect new reveals from titles including Disney Dreamlight Valley, Marvel's Midnight Suns, Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, and a sneak peek at the upcoming Marvel Ensemble game from Skydance New Media, which is Hennig's firm. So, I mean, look, I'm sick of Marvel. I'm sick of Disney. In general, I'm sick of MCU. That's not fair to say I'm sick of Disney and the other stuff. But when there's video games on the line, I'm always happy to sniff around. Disney and Marvel obviously have a huge reach in terms of IPs and potential. I'm surprised they're doing so. I was like, oh, this is a nice little tickler.
It is, yeah, sort of come out of nowhere, to be honest. What's his name? Get his name now. He's hosting it.
Oh, Blessing.
Blessing
From Kind of Funny.
Jr. Kind of Funny, Blessing Jr. Adeoye. Yeah, so they've got him in, which is they're obviously looking like they're going for the gaming market. So yeah, it'd be interesting. I don't know what they're gonna. I assume they're not gonna be announcing any big films or anything like that.
Well, no, it says it's a game showcase. So it shouldn't have, because last time I remember them doing something like this, it's probably like when I think they did a May the 4th thing for Star Wars, and on there was Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. That had like a bit of a blowout, but it was amongst all the films and the TV and other things like that.
So, do we see any update on Wolverine? Would we get something that big, or do you reckon that would be, say, for something like a Game Awards?
Well, that's a very, very good question. What are Sony going to do? Sony are so quiet. Yeah. Literally, once God of War comes out, it's like, what are you actually doing now?
Yeah.
We've had absolutely nothing.
Big heavy ears.
I mean, this would synergize lovely. This would be used to be the perfect place to do it. Whether it's ready or not is another question. And you could also chuck Spider-Man 2 on that list as well. So,
sure.
That would be great. That would be a great, pleasant surprise if either of those turned up. I just get the feeling that Jim's a bit of a hog now, and he's like, "Look, nah, put my arms around all this stuff. I'll handle it." It's like, well, you can't even stop your fucking games from going on PC Game Pass. Maybe you should reach out. Disney won't blow this, will they? Shouldn't do. But that would be a great surprise. That really would. So
yeah, we're expecting some new games. That Midnight Suns, that's been delayed now, isn't it? So maybe an update on that, something. Deep dive. But yeah, maybe they've got something in the pipeline, Avengers stuff, I'd imagine.
Newcastle, old Bucky boys going on to the old Avengers game.
Is it? I didn't even see that. The last one I saw was Jane Foster.
You've got to catch up and play them all. That's your job. to play every character.
I still got that installed actually. Every time I turn on my PS5, it's like a fucking 5 gig update for that thing.
I'll bet.
Bloody hell. But yeah. But, I mean, every time the thing is, this happens every time with the Nintendos. I can tell myself not to get too hyped because these things seem to disappoint when you really sort of expect the worst. But because this is like a first one and it's Disney Marvel, that's going to attract fans that aren't, gaming fans as well. That's going to
sweaty nerds. Well, actually, are they sweaty? Surely, if you're Disney and Marvel fan, you're a sweaty nerd as well. You're just a lower rung nerd.
That's
like
it,
gamers top nerd, and then they're like below, probably a couple of rungs. I'd say.
10 nerds. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to get too excited about this because it could be dross. That's the trouble. And given my statement to start with, that how interested am I in Marvel and Disney stuff? Not the biggest fan, but if Respawn's new Star Wars Jedi game, that feels a long way away to be at this, but they might share some information. I won't get too excited, but now you've dropped that little thought of Wolverine or Spider-Man. Yeah, I'm almost certain they won't, but
no,
we can
believe.
Like
it's too big for something like it, especially 3 months, 4 months from 4 months from Game Awards, which is a very big one. So yeah, I assume they're safe, but you never know. They're going to need this to. This could become a new fucking thing.
Every September.
Game Awards killer. Every September we're getting a new fucking Marvel game.
That's it.
Bring it on.
I will be interested to see what Amy Hennig's bringing to the table with Skydance New Media, because again,
Witter's on there.
Is he? Is he on? Is that the one he's
part of the writing team as well. Yeah, he's the one that wrote.
Geralt, Deadpool.
Guardians. Rogue One, Star Wars.
I just take guesses at things at Marvel.
Guesses. Yeah, so he's got that Disney connection. He wrote comic books as well. He's another kind of funny fucker. So
synergy. You can see it now.
Synergy. So there could be some potential there. You got what's it called? You got Blessing, Witter, Sky,
the Melting Pot,
Sky Hig. What's it called?
Skydance. New Media, Amy Hennig.
That's the one.
So we'll see.
Something might be there, but try not to get as hyped, but it is Marvel and Disney, so money to be splashed.
Absolutely. Number 4, Sega Mega Drive Mini 2 reveals all 60-odd games. Pre-orders go live in September. I don't want to talk about the device itself. I want to just let people know it's happening, just out of respect for Sega. But are we done with these mini consoles? I feel like we had this Nintendo kicked this off. Everyone jumped on the bandwagon, and then now I'm a bit like I got the PlayStation 1, I should say, for Christmas once. It was sold within a year. It was plugged in once on Christmas Day, and it was sold and sent off to pasture. I like the idea of having these things as like a display type thing, but I don't have anywhere to display anything like that. So what's the point? And I just can't be bothered to sit down and play a mini console, if I'm honest.
I remember was it the NES or the SNES was the first one that came out?
I think it was
and I remember the leads were like fucking
foot
long.
About 2 feet long. It's fucking ridiculous.
Like, fucking people that got like fucking 10 foot in between them and the TV.
They're fucked.
Absolute disaster. But yeah, they seem to be getting them better. Like, the only cool things, if you're really into it, a bit of a Salmon-esque. A lot of them like fucking mod them, don't they? And emulate
homebrew the fuck out. Yeah, so they do.
Yeah.
Although, not like I said. What am I talking about? Probably have said this, but I won't claim that. That Steam Deck, albeit pricier, that's kind of like the ultimate machine for that. Got some bollocks behind it as well.
Yeah,
this is much cheaper. To be fair, it'll be
much cheaper. But yeah, I don't know. I failed to see.
I ain't
these cutting. No, I thought these died a death, but then they do always seem to be sold out where you go, and then you sort of get a second wave at the end. They're still.
Because I checked one up if you want. I checked on Amazon earlier about the first Sega Mega Drive, and it was going for like 200 quid, I think it was. Cool. Let me just check it. Mega Drive Mini.
They're a bit like Lego, so like. You can pick them up for sort of 20, 30.
250 UK pounds for a Sega Mega Drive Mini.
Crazy. And then when they stop production, they just go boing.
Yeah, the price just stings up. That's happened here. They've all sold out, and run their time, and they're being charging silly money. That's from Games R Us US. Oh, just Games R Us, sorry. 250 quid. I mean, not a chance, but some people want to scalp. I guess there's a way of making money there. But no, I'm kind of over the whole mini thing. It seemed cool to start with. It was impossible to get hold of some of them, and then it's like the actual functionality of it, I'm just not going to use, to be honest. So, you know, I'm sure this will garner some interest. I said there's 60 odd games in there. I'm not going to run through all those. You can go and look it up on your favourite gaming website. Cap things off with some Rumour and Innuendo, and then we'll get out of here and hand over to... Who should we hand over to? I think we'll hand over to us again.
Ooh, a pair of us.
Yeah, I think it's me babbling.
Tell you what, as well as another little one. What number are we on? Number 5?
Number 5.
Number 6. Coming to Game Pass.
This is number 5.
This is
so
number
do it again,
5.
and then you can be the host next week.
6.
No, 5.
What I'm about to say is 5. Sorry, so that was 4. Got ya. Number 5 in the report.
That's no good.
Blown it's fucked it on this first day. Little known game that I was almost so close to buying and have been. It's not a heavy hitter, but it's one that's been on my radar. I've been wanting to pick it up.
Yep.
Immortals Phoenix Rising coming to Game Pass.
The Ubisoft open world game that looks like Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild, Gods and Monsters is coming. I've been so close. Like I've been waiting for that to drop down for about 15 quid. It looks absolutely fucking gobshite.
Well, you got a couple of months till Gotham Knights. If next week Saints Row reviews come out and you're like, don't like the look of that, then
it's a real 7 on 10 game. But I thought, cool, that's going straight there, and that sort of slipped in. There was also a few other ones today, wasn't there? There's Quake.
Yeah.
I think was it Wolfenstein 3D, maybe a Doom. Slipped in, something like that. Chucked a load to it. But Mortals, I was like, cool. I know PlayStation have got to deal with that Ubisoft Plus. It's just Phil trying to get one back and saying, well, we'll take them all.
Ubisoft Plus Classics, I think Jim's got, and then which are older games like the Division 1. Not the Division 2, which isn't exactly new either, but Game Pass have had a drop in some of the QuakeCon stuff. Dropped some newer Quake. I thought that stuff would have been on there already, but, you know, I didn't. I obviously didn't know enough. Rumour and Innuendo. This is the headline. Days Gone movie reportedly in the works. This comes courtesy of Deadline. So apparently, and this is Rumour and Innuendo as we record this, it may well
I've literally just clicked on Twitter. And it's come up as the top story.
Yeah. This is the game that Sony didn't want to do a sequel to because it wasn't successful enough. And yet, they're potentially chucking money into a film adaptation. It's going to have Sam...
It is. Excellent.
Who is this? Sam Heughan?
Heughan, is it? Or not the same guy, the bloke that plays Deacon?
I don't know if he's in it.
Oh,
he won't be in it, will he? He won't even look like him. He's probably got blonde hair.
No, he does.
Does he?
Well, he does actually look. That's his face. Deacon St. John's face. That's him. He was the same character as... did you play the Star Wars games? Force Unleashed? He was that Star Killer. It was him. What is his name? Sam Witter or something? Or Whitwitter?
I think so. Keep using
something like that. He's an actor as well. He was in the Star Wars films. Get him in. Don't get someone else. Well, probably they're going to do Pedro, and Pedro's going to blow fucking Baker out the fucking sea. So maybe who's this one then?
Outlander's Sam Heughan, Scottish fella, and Oscar-nominated scribe Sheldon Turner adapting.
Cool.
Okay, I don't know enough about all this, but
interesting. I mean, it's a film, not a series.
Yep.
It's a fucking long game, isn't it?
Yeah, that could do with several seasons and series, that particular one.
But then it just becomes fucking Walking Dead, doesn't it?
Yes, that's true.
But I think it would work because it feels like a TV because always at the time it always felt like The Walking Dead / Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
Films, they just don't work. I haven't had a very good one in a long time.
I'm talking about Uncharted.
Yeah, that was probably best of the bad bunch, to be fair, or was passable. So maybe, yeah. I suppose they're itching now, so maybe. But yeah. I suppose that's just the fucking OCD in my brain that it's just like, right, no, we've got to stick with the same one, especially as an actor.
Yes.
He's got the face then as well. But no, maybe not then. But yeah, it'd be interesting. I just thought that'd be a series.
No.
What say you? Excitement?
Nah, well, I don't know. Well, I'll wait till I see a trailer of sorts. This might all end up getting flushed away, but seems like Sony are starting to expand more. I mean, this didn't seem like a candidate to me, just simply because they don't seem that interested in the game. Like I could see Uncharted, I understand it. Ghost of Tsushima's getting one. Last of Us, obviously. I just thought, and then again, they're doing fucking what's that bloody car game that Jaffe did?
Oh yeah, Twisted
Metal. I'm like,
yeah,
so maybe it's just like we've got this stuff lying around that we own.
Yeah.
They'll do a fucking Days Gone one if they get
maybe this was their plan with Days Gone. Maybe they said
not Days Gone, Death Stranding. Sorry,
Death Stranding. Right? Yeah. Cool.
Get Kojima and he'll direct it.
I'd love to.
The melting pot again. Well,
yeah. Maybe this was their plan with Days Gone, why they refused the sequel. They said, well, not enough people bought it. Let's do the film of the first game, get people on board, and then we'll have another conversation about 2. And then fucking...
Yeah.
They've all left the company now. They've all fucked off.
Fucked off, yeah. The big cheeses have anyway, so... Yeah. Interesting if that comes to fruition. Last rumour in Innuendo, and this is just going to be a statement and there'll be no discussion for it. Idris Elba to be in the Cyberpunk DLC. Remember where you heard that first, because you haven't heard it anywhere else.
Pulled himself out of the race, apparently, for the 007, is the rumour as well. Because he wants to be in there. I'm sure he didn't for this, but
he wants to be in the Cyberpunk DLC, so he pulled out of the race to be 007. That would be a story. I wouldn't put it past this world in 2022. Yeah. But we're going to wrap this. Well, not going to wrap this week. We're going to hand over actually to our good selves. I'm going to give the guys Man of Medan and Little Hope double bill. So a supermassive double bill for the audience to listen to close out this week's podcast. That was you and I again that did that one, and it's me talking about Man of Medan and Little Hope. Get these narrative-based games pumping out with some impressions, so you guys can look forward to that. As I said, remember, no podcast next week, but if you are around for Gamescom opening night live 23rd of August, and that time has not passed by the time you're listening to this, twitch.tv/dimpdigital, we're going to try to get a watch-along party to watch Jeff's little show. Looking forward to that. Hoping there's going to be a few little sneaky surprises now and again, but that'll be it. We're going to hand over Little Hope and Man of Medan coming your way, and we will see you on the other side. Here we are then, back with some game impressions to close out this week's Idle Game Chat. Got Apps and Adkins here. For this particular closeout, I'm going to do a double whammy.
Oh, the doubler.
Supermassive. The Dark Pictures Anthology. I'm going to do Man of Medan and Little Hope. Okay? Now, the reason for these two, considering there's 3 out, which is House of Ashes, is because they are both on the PlayStation Plus Extra tier. So I thought, I've been wanting to play Little Hope and I never got round to it. I bought Man of Medan. So I thought, you know what, I'll play both because I've not played Man of Medan in a few years, and then I'll do Little Hope. So, for those that don't know, these games are narrative-based horror games. And gameplay is essentially wandering around. You can wander around and explore environments. But it's choice-based in conversation trees, choice-based in decision-making. Do you want to go left? Do you want to go right? Do you want to save someone? Do you want to run off? And then choice-based in dialogue options. And the main pull of these particular games are how your choices impact the outcome of the game. And it's quite extreme. So Man of Medan and Little Hope, you can kill everyone. Everyone can die.
Brilliant.
It's always
I love that.
That's been there since Until Dawn, which is kind of what broke them out
the
for me.
first one was Superman. But they do...
You know what? I will look it up. But I'm that's the one that for me
right here.
put them on the map.
Obviously they've done other games, didn't they?
Yeah.
Oh, Killzone HD on the thing.
Yeah,
I
they
haven't
did.
bought that.
They've done some.
Little Big Planet.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing. But in terms of maybe they might start the party.
Yeah.
Don't know. Yeah, just feel like this is definitely the first. I suppose this probably transcends a bit from games like Heavy Rain and what was the other one? The Telltale games where you've got this choice and thing. But these definitely games feel more involved.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like Until Dawn was their first in this, not in their horror ilk.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, that definitely matches up. That's the one that, and it was actually a PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah,
published by Sony. So, and then seemingly that relationship didn't go anywhere because after that, Bandai Namco picked them up, and they've been doing these Dark Pictures games. And then The Quarry, which is like their latest game that's come out, that's separate from the Dark Pictures anthologies. It's not part of that series, if you will. It's more in the ilk of Until Dawn, where it's a slightly longer game. Now, according to reports, that initially started off as a Stadia exclusive, and then when Google started to be like, right, we ain't doing these games anymore, it's not working. They basically this game was going to get cancelled, and then 2K come along and went, we'll finish that and publish it and get some sales. But they're all in this similar style, essentially. So Man of Medan I've played before. I've played through it back when it released. I played through it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I played through it once on my own. Then I played through it with Ad Cock, because you can do these things multiplayer. You can do them either couch co-op, so it assigns characters to you, and then you pass the controller when that character comes up to be controlled. Or you can play it online, which is what we did.
Yeah.
But I wanted to just go for it again. They're not. I didn't think they were. I thought they were 2 hours long. These games. They're not. They're close. They're close to 4 hours, which is my fault. I should have remembered that. It's about 2 hours when there's two of you, because you only control half the characters. If you think about it, you've got to just do 3 scenes from 2 characters rather than 8 scenes from 5, for example. So Man of Medan, I played through it before, and this time I went through it on my own again. Normally, and then also I had unlocked something called the Curator's Cut, which is an alternative playthrough of the game where you control different players or different characters. Sorry.
Oh, that's quite fun.
So whilst you're having a conversation on your first playthrough with the boyfriend and girlfriend on the boat or wherever you are, there's other characters talking. You can't really hear what they're saying, but they're discussing things, and there's something going on. So in the Curator's Cut, you get to go to that perspective, and it offers a nice fresh playthrough of that. Now what I would say is that it's not 100% fresh, so you do get bloody repeats,
right?
And it's probably closer to 60-70% that's unique, but there is a little bit of replay, and I was a bit like that kind of on the second playthrough. I was like, that's a little bit disappointing. But when you think about what's going on the hood, under the hood of these games, it's difficult enough to do one playthrough, let alone 2. Now the Curator's Cut, you'll only get that if you pre-ordered it, or they release it to everyone after 4 months. I mean, it's really strange. I don't know why they do that. Yeah. So everyone that plays it now will get the Curator's Cut, but if you bought it day 2, for example, you wouldn't have got the Curator's Cut. And I don't even think you could buy it either. You just had to wait. Right. So it's a strange little system they've implemented. So you're almost better off waiting for 4 months if you're gonna play these, because they'll probably be on sale as well. So the big thing about Man of Medan is I'd forgotten how rough it can be at times.
Oh, really? Like, technically, yeah. So pop-ins are plenty.
There's pop-in all over the place. The controls are awkward because it's fixed camera almost all the time, and you're walking
Tanky.
this way across the screen, walking left, and then the camera changes to move in front, and then suddenly your controller's pressing the wrong way, isn't it? Because the perspective's changed.
Yeah.
As long as you don't move, as long as you don't change the stick, it'll carry on walking in the direction you're facing. But your brain inevitably goes, oh, and then you have to restart, and it's just really clumsy. And it's very much style over substance. I feel like graphically, these games, and this is the same for Little Hope, still look at times really, really good. Like, at their best, you wouldn't know this is a PS4 game when they're at their best.
Right. Yeah,
They still have these weird, odd-looking moments where they just look a little bit crap. If I'm honest.
Yeah.
I had weird stuff like it would change a transition and change a scene, and then the character wouldn't be there, and then it would suddenly pop in.
Right.
Like, there's these parts where you'll do a scene and it'll come back to the curator, who's like this English bloke who's sort of like going, well, you did okay there, son, but you may have made some decisions you'll regret. Like, you're like, oh, fuck off, mate. And when it goes back to him, he was like, the chair was there. I was like, where's he gone? And then he just pop in. I was like, bloody hell. I don't know if that was meant to be a jump scare.
Game. Yeah. Oh, how funny.
So that was happening. And in general, they awkwardly transition whilst you're playing it, because there's so many different choices you can make, and because your decisions affect relationships with other characters. In the menu you can see who's positive and negative, and that changes as they interact, or as you as the player interact. It's trying to think, like, what have you just done? Then your relationship is like negative with this person. How are they supposed to react? And then you can see it doesn't always match up properly. So a scene will just, like, you'll jump over something, and then it'll cut to like the next part of that same scene, and then it'll look like they're like 50 yards ahead of the box or whatever, where it may have skipped something that was there previously, but because it's not relevant to your playthrough, it struggles. But in general, the fun about these games is just sort of playing them. You try and play this and go, oh, make sure everyone survives. Like, you're going to have a horrible time because it's not... Yeah. It's possible, but it's really difficult. You kind of... It's really tricky. So the enjoyment is just playing with them, experimenting, seeing how they get on. Yeah. What I do like is that the characters, the relationships change how the AI responds when you're not controlling them, and changes things that they would do. So there's something that can happen earlier on in the game. If you've got a positive relationship between character X and character Y, the character Y will do something that will eventually save their life later on, or give them a better chance of survival later on. If it's negative, because they've got the ump with that character, they like, oh, not doing that, you prick. You know, and that actually puts them in an awful position later on. There's all this under the hood stuff that's going on that's really interesting to experiment and play with, but it does just have those roughness and technical kind of issues.
That's interesting. Is it much of an upgrade? Like, there was obviously a fair few years in between, but from Until Dawn,
I think it's about the same. I think these are all so far, and this goes for Little Hope as well. They're in that same sort of ballpark. I don't think they're majorly upgraded or downgraded. But probably about the same. But Until Dawn, similar thing I said with that. At its best, it looks... at the time, it looked mind-blowing. But then it's just not consistent throughout the game. There's just certain situations where everyone looks like...
Yeah, I remember... I think with Until Dawn, you had like a couple of scenes and it looked incredible, and you're like, oh, it literally just looks like I think it was like Rami Malek that was in there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he looks incredible. And then it cut to someone else. I was like, it's just like his face looks like he's made out of plasticine.
Yeah.
I don't get what's going on. Yeah, it does seem to be a bit hit and miss, but yeah, there must be so much sort of motion capture involved in this.
Yeah,
I mean, they do get the big names.
Man and Medan's got what's it called?
Sean, is it? Is it the lad from?
Yeah, Sean Ashmore.
That's it.
So is he Mr. Freeze or something? What's he? He's an X-Man.
That's it. Yeah, he's an X-Man. He was Mr. Freeze, an X-Man, and then what was he called?
He was in Quantum Break as well.
Quantum Break. That was the one I was thinking of. Yeah.
Iceman isn't Mr. Freeze. That's fucking Arnie.
Other company, the other one.
The other one.
So yeah, he's had history with gaming. He's dipped in and out. He's done X-Men games. I know.
Yeah, I remember he was in the Following. which was a TV series I watched that had old Bacon in it.
Oh yeah.
I quite enjoyed that for at least a couple of seasons before it went down the drain. So yeah, he's the big pull, I think, of this episode. But the setup for Man of Medan, I should just briefly set it up, is I think it's 5 characters you take control of. You're on a boat doing like a diving expedition, and you end up bumping into an old cargo ship. You get on it, and stuff starts going wrong, and you think, right, need to be getting off this, and that's the basic sort of setup. So
yeah, I do feel these stories are quite important in these type of games. They tend to very much similar to the Telltale games, you know.
Yeah.
Like if you're looking at them as a gameplay perspective, you know, they're bare bones basic bitch games. But when the stories do continue, and with the horror ones, it's good because they can go anywhere they like. You know, you can go crazy, you can keep it grounded or whatever you like to do.
I quite like Man of Medan for when it all
story.
comes together. Yeah, I quite like the idea of that.
Yeah.
I think
It's
it's
hard to talk about it without.
I won't. But I just think generally, I enjoyed finding out what was occurring and what's going on. So and you know the characters themselves are like cheesy sort of horror movie characters. So but they're very much leaning into that. It's not being designed as like this big serious like thought provoking thing. Like they kind of know where their bread's buttered and they play into that. Yeah. Some of the characters are just fucking unlikable, and you can make them more unlikable, but.
Yeah, I quite like that though. When I watch these old horror films, certainly these slasher films, I'm always rooting for the killer. I'm just like, they kill these cunts. I hate them. Does this have the camera mode where you can you get like jump scares?
No, it hasn't. Yeah, so Until Dawn had a system where if you put the PlayStation camera in,
that was brilliant.
It would record your response to some of the jump scares. Speaking of jump scares, they are. In both games, are plenty. That's
really?
It's not. It's
I do like and hate them at the same time.
It's not psychological horror. This is like cheap jump scares that are coming out. They probably overdo it a little bit. It's good though because the more you sort of wander around and sort of look into things, the more chance there is of them doing like some fucking cheap scare. So you want them collectibles, but you don't want to be putting your fucking face round corners where there's going to be like a ghoul jumping out of you or whatever.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed Man of Medan. I mean, it's the going through the curator's cut. You can fundamentally change not just the outcome of characters, but just how the it sounds stupid because it's the same story, but just how the story is kind of presented because the characters interact so differently. So like, there's a boyfriend and girlfriend that are part of the diving crew. So the first time through, I just kind of made them get on. Second time, I actively made them like have needle with each other, and that changed completely how the interactions took place in certain scenes.
Right.
Like you would say something because the boyfriend, then later on she'd be like, "Oh, stop being a," like. So it's and like I said, it impacts how they make decisions when you're not engaged with them. So it can have ramifications. So I enjoyed messing around with that. And if we're talking about the gaming gallery, which is where these games now reside, in fact, I'll do them both at the end. Double pack for Supermassive. Let's get on to Little Hope. So, mate, the story of this one is bus crashes, and there's no communications around. All the smartphone signals are dead or dying out, and there's a group of, again, I think there's 4 or 5 of you, and you need to get help and get out of this town basically. And as you delve further into the town, there's some weirdness going on. There's some other bits and pieces, nefarious things occurring, and you want to keep those. Well, maybe you don't want to keep the characters alive. Maybe you do want to kill them all. So some of the complaints I had in the previous game have been basically fixed to a certain extent. So I talked about the awkward controls and the camera angles. Now they still have the fixed camera perspective for parts of the game, but it's more like 20% of the game. A lot of the game in this one is in more open environments because Man of Medan, you're on a cargo ship. It's skinny fucking aisles, tiny rooms. It's all very claustrophobic. This one's in a town. It's not. This ain't fucking GTA. You ain't got an open world. But the paths are wide enough to fit 5 people down, and because of that, they have a normal 3D sort of third-person camera that you can move around and do full 360. just completely eliminates those sort of issues. Now, the characters are all still really sluggish to control. That's just, they're all weighty and whatnot, animation heavy. But they've absolutely improved the fixed camera issues and a lot of the control issues. I don't know if that's from feedback or if they just were planning to do that. But that's a massive plus in comparison to Man and Medan.
Yeah, sounds it.
With the QTEs, I didn't talk about that much in Man and Medan, but during action sequences, you'll be asked to like press square quickly to grab onto something whilst you're climbing or to run somewhere. In Man and Medan, it just happens. It just goes blink, and you're like, oh.
Cool.
In Little Hope, they've made it a little bit easier. They bring up an icon before and a noise to prompt you, say, in a second,
that's quite handy.
Something's going to happen, you're going to need to press something. So, sometimes you're sort of sitting back in these games, cinematic moments, and they suddenly ask you to do a QTE. You're like, oh, God, I've been caught out.
Did that a lot. I can't remember the last game. I think maybe it might have been Guardians. There was a lot in that. And it was constantly, I'd just be sat there. It'd be like a cutscene.
Yeah.
And you just sort of drift off and you just let go of the controller. And you're like, what's that X? Oh shit, quick!
I missed it. Missed the chance to say something. Yeah. So you get prompted this time.
Right, that's quite good because
they've
sometimes.
Yeah, and another thing, they've improved the way the game communicates what you can interact with. So Man and Medan, you go up to a door, you press X and it's locked. And you're wandering around these fucking hallways, and you might go back to the same door by accident and see it's locked. Little Hope, if it's locked, if you go up to it again, it will say locked. So once you know it's locked, it will tell you, so I've been there, I've done that. And one other thing, it's really helpful for exploration if you're trying to look for collectibles and other secret stuff, is in most environments, when you're going to exit the environment, it has a unique icon which says, it goes zzz, and this is exit or moving on. So you kind of know, because on Man and Medan, you go through a door and then it goes into transitions into a new area, and you can't go back and get any of the collectibles. Right. These games are linear. Yeah. This one gives you can go, okay, if I want to keep looking around, don't go through that door there, and you can explore more.
Oh, that's very good. I remember in Until Dawn they had like little shiny things, wasn't it?
They still use that, yes. Yeah,
they still use the shine.
The little glimmer thing's still there, so you can kind of see things a bit easier, so that helps. But you wouldn't know on Man and Medan whether that shiny thing's going to then transition you out of the scene.
That's very true, yeah.
And you think, I saw a document back there.
That fucking Resident Evil 2 remake.
That map.
The map was like the red and the blue. That's fucking genius. Get that in every game so I can stop walking around in circles going, have I checked this little nook?
Oh, no.
That's good.
They've also added in-character swapping. So you don't get to choose, but what would happen in Man and Medan is an action scene would kick off. There's two people in the scene. You are controlling, let's say, make up a name, Andrew, and you have to control Andrew through the whole thing. And whoever you're with just sort of does it in this, and you'd be like, well, I hope they're all right. You don't really have an input into it. Little Hope, you'll control Andrew, you'll jump over the boxes doing your QTE, and then it'll like freeze and spin, and then zoom to the other character who's behind them, and you'll take over Gloria and do a similar thing or make a different choice. So you get a bit more of a linked up action feel when you're playing through with the characters. And then the other thing which is interesting, and this is all under the hood stuff, it's never really explained, but this is just from playing it and sussing it out. You have things called traits in both games. So if you go into a character's profile screen, it'll show all their relationships, good, bad. You go into that relationship, you can see what made it good or bad, so you can see your decisions, your dialogue choices.
That butterfly effect.
Exactly, yeah. It doesn't show you like the boxes, like the flow chart or anything, but you can at least see what people are reacting to. But then also in the character's face is things like ambitious, deceitful, random like traits that as you play the game and as based on the decisions you make, these change. So you can make someone who's quite loyal be deceitful by doing deceitful things, and that will come up and show in their character. The way it plays into Little Hope is that the more, and this is the only way I sort of sussed it, the more sort of morally ambiguous or morally questionable you are with characters, i.e. if someone's there to help and you just save your own skin, the harder it is with that character to do the QTEs.
Right.
They're quicker. So you can kind of make things slightly easier by playing a bit more of the hero, I guess, would be the options. I had a little read about this afterwards, and a lot of the community didn't like this. They said it was too binary and whatnot, etc., etc. But this one is, I'd say, Man of Medan is focused on relationships with the characters, like how you're interacting with them. Man of Medan is focused on the actions of your characters, and there's almost like a binary line of what's a good way to behave and what's a bad way. Hero versus villain. That impacts outcomes more than what it does in Man of Medan, and also impacts how easy or difficult some of the QTE encounters are. There's even parts where if you'll do something really positive, you won't even have to do what would be a second or third phase of QTEs. Like, it can make that much of a difference. If you make the heroic choice, it will get you out of a jam quicker in some instances. Now, other times it won't, because you have to fucking fight the monster or whatever. So it's a little bit different. I like the fact there was quite a, on the surface they are a very similar game, but underneath the hood they work completely differently, and the way the outcomes took place was the same. Curator's cut, I've done that again, so played through the game, done the curator's cut, and then I played about another quarter of the game again because I realised that I could get a specific trophy because in a certain scenario, and I thought, well, I'll go back and grab that. It did hard crash. Little Hope. Now,
bigger game, isn't it? More technical.
Here's the theory. That crashed after I'd loaded it from rest mode. Within 15 minutes, it crashed. Now, after that happened, I never put it in rest mode again. I just closed it down like a normal human would have done 10 years ago, and I never had the problem again. So I don't trust that rest mode on either console. No, I don't think it's healthy for these. I've heard of problems before about games loading up and having issues. So mention it, but I feel like that was a rest mode jobby.
Yeah.
But yeah, both games are decent. They have this thing called bearings. So when a significant moment happens, it will say bearing updated, and you can go into a menu and it will say, oh, Andy chose to pick the knife up, and you kind of realise, oh, that's something significant. And then when you play through the curator's cut separately, you'll see the bearings go off in a different direction. Again, it's not a flow chart, but it's just logging significant moments. It's like that Telltale thing where they would say, oh, Phil's really disappointed in you. Yeah, you're like, oh, fucking hell.
That's changing the story. And I remember playing through these, I remember thinking, like, oh, that means I've missed an option now. I feel like I'm going to have to go back and play, but...
Once you complete them, you can go and do a scene select and play specific scenes again. So if you cock something up,
that's really good.
So if you got to the very end, for example, and you were trying to do like a all survival run, and you just cocked up a QTE and it killed, because that can happen.
Yeah.
Although a lot of people say you miss one QTE, you die. That's a complete load of bollocks. You can.
Oh really?
There are certain scenarios where you can die quite quickly from failing 2 on the bounce. But when I was doing my second run on Curator's Cut, I was trying to kill some of them, and I failed every one in some instances and bumbled my way through still. And I was like, okay, so it's not always life or death, but you don't know which ones are, so you've got to be on your game. So don't be too worried if you miss one QTE. You can normally salvage it, just don't keep blowing it. Is my advice. Any other questions for Little Hope or Man of Medan?
Story-wise for Little Hope, you say gave us a brief setting.
Yes.
Comparable for comparison to them. What actors we getting here?
I didn't recognise any of them. Some called Poulter, is it? I don't know who.
Oh yes,
I think he's in some Marvel thing.
Is he not the fella that done Cal Kestis? Oh no, it's not him, is it? No, I know who he is.
It's the other one.
Yeah, he is in. Have you ever seen a film called I think it's about the Millers, is it? Millers. He was in
Will Poulter.
That's the one. Yeah, he was in The Revenant with Leo. He was in that.
Apparently, he's in Guardians Volume 3.
Cool.
So he's going to be in that.
Marvel.
He's been in Black Mirror Bandersnatch. Dope Sick.
I do know him. What's the
Why
film
Didn't They Ask Evans? Detroit.
That's a film with
War Machine.
Rachel from Friends.
Little Stranger.
Does it think about the Millers? Think about Millers?
Why Didn't They Ask the Evans? No, it's a series. Oh, We're the Millers.
We're the Millers, that's it. Yeah, he was in that.
Maze Runner.
So they seem to
F
get
you.
like one big,
Yeah.
fairly big name, and then a cast of fodder
Yeah.
underneath.
But yeah, so he's the sort of main guy. But in terms of story, I don't know. Actually, it's a good question about if I.
Yeah,
I think.
comparable for two. Is there no connection at all? As this is a dark pictures, these are completely two set. I know they share the same.
Yeah,
loop.
I don't know whether at the end there'll be this big, like at the end of the anthology, they'll say something will happen. They'll say, "Oh, look, it's like the MCU" or something like that.
Yeah.
But there may well be subtle connections or Easter eggs. That's what I've read on their official website. There's Easter eggs and whatnot. But they're very much... The only thing that links them is that you have this curator fella, the English fella, saying, "Oh, you silly bastard, you fucking blown it." He's not Scottish, but it sounds better, doesn't it? He's the only... And he's basically... The way it's positioned is that he's getting out these books and saying, "Oh, the story's not finished. Here, you're going to help me finish them." So they are, in that way, designed to be separate. But you could... There's zero overlapping characters so far, at least in these two. So, they're all worth a go, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If you're into these games, like, again, don't come into this as an action fan who only plays action games and go, "Where's the action?"
Yeah.
These ain't them. These are palm sweaters.
Palm sweat. Is it another jump scare mafia?
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Absolutely love it. In terms of what was better, I feel like... I feel like if you were to write down a bit of paper, the story of Man and Medan was better, but the characters in Little Hope were better, if that makes sense.
That freedom of the camera angles and...
Oh, that's a massive help. It is a massive help, because it's just so awkward when the fixed camera... And then, again, they have got on, but they're significantly reduced in Little Hope. It just makes the game so much easier just to play and to get around, because you will be fighting the controls in Man and Medan, and to a certain extent in Little Hope, but I think they've got...
Looking on a howlongtobeat.com,
yeah,
Little Hope is half an hour longer than Man and Medan.
Probably, yeah, it's probably about right. What hours have they put on there? 4?
4.5 for
Man
and Medan, and a solid 5 for Little Hope.
Yeah, like I said, so they're not the 2-hour games that I was expecting, because I was just assumed it was going to be like an episode of Life is Strange, which are like 2 hours.
Right, yeah.
Or a Telltale game. They're not. They're double that, and a bit of change as well. But generally, enjoyed them. In terms of do you have any more questions, actually, before I go into the gallery chat?
Is the Platinum Trophy... Have they got Platinum Trophies each?
I think so, yeah. I haven't checked it.
Achievable. No, but I think I'm close to get... I think I've just got to do one more run of Until Dawn, but the trouble with that is I like doing that first blind playthrough where you don't know anything.
That's absolutely the way to do it.
Then you've got to go through and you've got to remember beats, and
it
just becomes...
It's difficult. Without a guide, it's really hard to get specific trophies. There's a trophy list there. I mean, I looked at some of them and I was like, I don't know how... Because they do this thing. There's one trophy on... I think it's 2 trophies in Little Hope, and it says choose all logic decisions or choose all heart decisions. They're 2 separate trophies. And I played through it and I was like, what the fuck are they talking about? And there's what it is. Every decision has a really... They should have made this more obvious, in my opinion. A really subtle icon underneath the text which shows a little heart or a little brain.
Oh, really?
So you can, in theory, if you wanted to do an all-logic run, you just look at the logical choice and do it. But it's really hard to spot, especially when you're in a fluster. Yeah, you get plenty of time, really, but I felt they should have made that a bit more obvious. So you've got to do 2 playthroughs for that. Then you've got to do probably a play. I'm sure there's a trophy for killing everyone and keeping everyone alive. So that's a trophy. Yeah. There's normally another trophy for some other outcome that you never would have thought of or knew about. So I mean, it's a lot of repetitive stuff. I suppose
because they're that short that they're trying to... It's a single game if you're buying this on its own. They've got to try and get that replayability out. Yeah. Do you think you ever go back through them again? I suppose you did with Man and Medan.
I think once the whole anthology's out and whatnot, maybe I would. But it'd be a few years now.
Back-to-back run.
Yeah. Yeah. So I probably would go back.
20-hour
plot. Eyes are firmly on either The Quarry or maybe House of
Yeah,
Ashes
definitely got some
next.
of that.
So, but yeah, these
But
two
nice.
in terms of gaming gallery. So you've not been through the process, have you? I don't think since we've. Have you been through the process since we changed it? Can't remember.
I felt we vaguely did it on
Yeah.
Turtles.
Yeah, oh yes, of course. Yeah, so yes. Okay. So yeah, we're outside. I'm going to unlock the doors. I've got my keys. Actually, I've got to get them out because people will moan if we don't do the segment properly.
No.
So that's been unlocked, and we're going to split them.
Cool.
Okay, so
Split the keys.
I've wandered over to my personal wing. There's obviously got all my platinums, my golds, my silvers, my bronzes. Man and Medan, and this is a mirror of what originally I'd pegged it as when I played it back in the day. Goes in its little bronze area on that side of the wing. So happy over it. It's decent, but it's got a few more, I'd say, more obvious technical issues that aren't game breaking, but do tarnish the experience slightly. And because Little Hope, I'm comparing them directly, is just an improvement across the board on so many things, I want to give it a nice little silver. It can go on that side. A good game. Solid. I'm really interested to see how House of Ashes is and whether those improvements carry over or whether they sort of revert back. But I'll find out. I mean, I will report back when I do it. But there you go. Anyway, we'll close it down for this week. Nothing more for us to say. Well, actually, I'll just say it. Just for out of respect, Man and Medan bronze, Little Hope silver, both part of the Dark Anthology. No, the Dark Pictures Anthology. Blown it. Supermassive. That's the promotional deal with them gone. Anyway, nothing more for us to say other than thanks for your time. And ta-da.
This was a Dimp Digital production.